At this point, it is simply not an interesting topic.
With the new Omicron variant of COVID-19 in the news, Fox's Tucker Carlson has a new and hilarious angle on the pandemic. Check this out.
If you find yourself living in a place where people are still talking about COVID nonstop 2 years in, it is time to move. Not just because your neighbors have been brainwashed, though obviously they have been, but because your neighbors are boring. At this point, it is simply not an interesting topic for your private life. Yes, COVID has killed a lot of people, so has prostate cancer. Imagine telling people about your prostate every day for the next 2 years. People would know that you are a narcissist. No one would sit next to you at dinner. You would be boorish. And that's exactly what COVID talk sounds to the well-adjusted among us. When we talk about COVID incessantly, we miss everything else, and that's the real point. This is a big and complicated and completely fascinating world. Babies are born, the elderly die, and in between, all kinds of amazing things happen. We succeed, we fail, we scheme, we inspire, we fall in love, we create things that hadn't existed before. We have deep and valuable insights into life itself. Human beings do a remarkable variety of legitimately interesting things. Talking about corona is not one of them. So let's stop.
All right, what an amazing, amazing segment. Coronavirus is boring. That's his new angle. Now, this is why he is so successful, because he is really good at doing this sleight of hand. He acts here like conversations about coronavirus mean it's the only conversation you're having, when clearly that is not the case. I mean, I had my parents over recently. We talked about coronavirus and we talked about everything else. Coronavirus was a small part of the conversation, but he acts like coronavirus is taking over everything. It's all done in a way to try and hide how he has downplayed the virus the entire time. He wants to focus on other issues. He knows a lot of his audience is very anti-vax. They have all these conspiracies about COVID-19. So he is trying to serve that audience by now claiming it's boring. It's a deadly pandemic that is still impacting society. Of course, people are going to talk about it. I mean, in the US alone, 800,000 Americans have died from COVID-19. Now, from 9/11, 3,000 people died. And we still talk about that, even though 9/11 is not a deadly pandemic. It isn't contagious. But 3,000 died. It's important to talk about it, of course. But 3,000 dead, 800,000 dead. How is this not a worthy topic of conversation? It's so amazing. But again, it's all part of a way to downplay how his misinformation, his lies have led to an increase in this number. Now, just to reference Omicron here. So there is an uptick in the spread of this variant, everywhere. Now, to be clear, early reports are saying that it's not as deadly, which is, if it's true, that's fantastic. So it doesn't appear to be as severe, especially if you're vaccinated. It doesn't appear to be as severe, which is great. That said, we don't know the long-term impacts of it. It may have different impacts on your health that the current variant or that the Delta variant doesn't. But you see here, be it the UK, US, Canada, and by the way, I think UK's numbers are so high because they have a fantastic testing system where you can have free tests. Anyone can just walk in anywhere, get a bunch of free tests, and there's like a QR code on there where you can scan the QR code, and that goes to a database. So this is why I think, if that same system was across the US and Canada and other countries, you would see much higher numbers in those countries as well. But that's why I think the UK number is so high. But you see here, US numbers going up, Canada now also seeing an increase. So this is why it's a conversation, because it's still impacting you. It's important when you're meeting with people with this new variant to see if they've had a test, if they have the virus, and if they don't, then great. Talk about something else. But I understand we're all tired. This is also why Tucker is very successful at what he does. Because of course, we are all tired of COVID-19. We don't want to talk about it anymore. It sucks, but it's still impacting society. It's still impacting our lives. So to just try and pass it off as a boring topic as opposed to an ongoing pandemic that we have to be considerate or considering in our daily lives is just completely dishonest. But again, it goes to showing how Tucker is very successful because he's able to manipulate these sorts of topics to form his own narrative.